Hello, everybody. I'm back wrapping up season 2 of Batman the Animated Series review. Going to be going over like my favorite episodes of the season and letting you know which ones were like not up to par in my opinion. Before we continue, please don't forget to follow me in the links in the description below, like and subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of season 2 of Batman the Animated Series, which episodes were your favorite, and which ones were not. So, unlike last review of season 1, we can get right into it because you already know the voice actors always immaculate. You know, the writing for the most part has always been up to par. So is the animation for the most part. I'll let you know if one's lacks here and there, but we'll get right into it with which is shorter, you know, because the first season on HBO Max was like long, but the next two seasons have been like, you know, reasonable. So we got Sideshow, A Bullock for Bullock, Trial, Avatar, House and Garden, The Terrible Trio, Harley Quinade, Time Out of Joint, Catwalk, Bane, Baby Doll, Lion and the Unicorn, Showdown, Riddler's Reform, Second Chance, Harley's Holiday, Lock Up, Make 'em Laugh, Deep Freeze, and Batgirl Returns. Now, Sideshow, I mean, is pretty much a Killer Croc center episode where he's being moved from Arkham to another prison, and Batman's, you know, looking out. Oh, and by the way, this is the season where the normal Batman animated series intro is replaced by the new Batman and Robin opener, which is fine, but not as epic as the original intro, in all honesty. But Batman is been monitoring Croc, making sure he's like making his way to his destination without any interruptions. But things go awry. Killer Croc escapes, and he ends up running into and making friends with these sideshow circus performers, which in a lot of iterations of Killer Croc's origin story, he's always been like part of some kind of, you know, circus folk because of his disease. But he find, you know, some kind of kinship with these people where you can. I mean, there's a lot of episodes with Penguin and Riddler, and now Killer Croc has shows villains with a potential of finally reforming if they have the outlet with good people, showing them like, you know, we actually care. We don't care about, you know, what's going on with you. You can find a home here with people who actually care about you, so that way you can finally turn away from a life of crime. And of course, it all gets botched up, and Croc succumbs to his lesser demons, where, you know, when Batman's on his tail, he's, you know, getting fearful, and he gets like, for a brief moment, gets other sideshow people to try to like, hey, this guy's coming after me. He's gonna, you know, come after you guys too if you don't help me. But they come to realize Croc has not been on the up and up about who he really is. But thanks to the Finn boy, I forgot his, like, you know, Billy the Finn boy, whomever like that kid's name was, who had like a brief moment in old Batman comics here and there, and he helps Batman stop Killer Croc. But Croc is a bit remorseful, knowing that these guys are better than him, but he only sees himself as a monster. So it's not like a bad episode. But then we got like Bullet for Bullet. Mind you, a lot of these shows are out of order depending on where you're watching them. So bear with me. Then you got Bullet for Bullet. And as a kid, didn't really appreciate, but as I got older, it's like I love the noir aesthetic, and this is very noir heavy, with Bullock trying to find out who's been trying to take him out, and he actually goes to Batman for help, knowing full well like he has his beef with Batman, but knowing, well, by the end he comes to realize the necessity Batman brings, and knowing that like they both might bend the law for different ways, but they both respect justice and they can find camaraderie in that, a kinship with that. And it's, when they trying to track down this old criminal who Bullock thinks is the one who's been trying to off him, but it comes down to his landlord who has been, I won't say mistreated, but Bullock has not been the kindest to, because Bullock has, rough edges. He's an acquired taste. But it comes down to like he's just like kind of lost it, and kind of speaks to the city where people can snap from the slightest thing, the whole one bad day trope. Where it's like me, I'm not sure if Bullock learned a particular lesson from this about like maybe because you see him interacting with Summer Gleason and he's not been like tactful or respectful. Is like, he kind of bum rushes everybody and come to realize, okay, maybe I should be more mindful of how thanks for the follow, Bad Gal. It goes to show that, Bullock should understand, okay, I gotta be more mindful how I treat people, especially those who either innocent civilians or actually my inner group or circle of friends. But yeah, man, like I said, like I didn't appreciate it as a kid, but as I got older, man, it's like the little details of the writing. It doesn't need to be all like costume fighting type of things that kids gravitate to, but it goes to show that older adults can appreciate this show as well. If you know a little bit, especially if you know a little bit about like the minute details of the writing and the undertones of certain dialogues, and like, people can learn about how you treat others, so you don't end up turning everybody into a freaking enemy that didn't need to be. So it's a really good episode for that. Trial. This has been one of my favorite episodes in this season, and dare I say in my top 5 favorite Batman animated series episodes. Trial, where Batman is dating the new district attorney, which should have been like more of a character in the roster after Harvey turned to Two-Face, but she only get like 2 episodes out of an entire series since then. But she's very prominent in this episode, where, and it's like, of course, Bruce is dating this woman that hates Batman, thinks he's no better than the criminals that he puts away. But then she gets kidnapped, and Batman, trying to find her, gets ambushed and taken to Arkham Asylum, where the criminals took over, which kind of reminds me of the first Batman Arkham Asylum game, where the criminals had taken over the asylum. The inmates had taken over the asylum, essentially. And they run this kind of mock joke of a trial, with Joker being the judge, and most of the villains have become like the jury, which is not really a jury of your peers, but they come to hear from the attorney who was on the news talking about Batman probably was the one who created these monsters in the first place. So they think like, oh, we aren't to blame. Batman made us this way. and you hear a little kind of like a rehashing of the previous episode where they were introduced, like Mad Hatter, where uh the attorney, what's her name, Janet Van Dorn, uh where he's telling her, it's like, you know, I had no choice. Batman's gonna take her away from me. Like, I had no choice. And she pointed out to him, like, you could have respected her wishes. And he just kind of like dropped the facade, like, I would have killed her first. Like, I would like that last part stricken from the record. Record? Was someone supposed to be writing this down? It's like, it's funny moments like that that really crack me up. Because it's a complete sham of this trial as it is. But Batman tells her, it's like, is there a game now? We got to play along for a while. And you see, like, Harley, not Harley, no, yeah, it was Harley was up next, and she's singing Batman's praises. All I know is, without Batman, there'll be no Joker. Thank you, Batman. And it's like, God, Lord. It's good Lord. It's, the facial expressions of Batman really made that really funny. It's just like just the utter just cringe look on his face. It's like, these guys are completely psychotic. And then, like, you know, Van Dorn points out, it's like, did you know that, like, you know, the last time you got locked up, Joker finked on you in order to get a lighter sentence? And then she just wigs out and starts attacking the judge, like, you lousy, I'm gonna knock the grin off your face. She had to be, you know, escorted out of the courtroom. And then finally we get, like, Poison Ivy, who points out, which is weird, that Two-Face and Ivy ain't constantly at odds with each other, because she points out very callously, it's like, you know, Batman should have let me bump off Harvey Dent. We've all been better off about it. Isn't that right, Harv? And of course, you know, Two-Face's grimaces. And it's like, I'm just thinking, like, why these two ain't constantly at each other's throats? Like, you, like, Poison Ivy tried to kill Two-Face before he was Two-Face, but still, like, it's amazing that these two ain't constantly fighting. As a matter of fact, I wish this would have carried into the comics as a whole, where Two-Face and Poison Ivy don't like each other, considering that Ivy tried to kill him at one point. And that should have been like a part of their origin story at some point. Personally, that would have been fun. Like, these two do not get along. There's like an utter grudge forever. But then, like, Van Dorn points out, like, you know, you seem to care more about plants than you do people. Like, you know, clearly if you don't have a problem, then what if somebody like, let's say, the judge here, callously plucks a plant from the earth and starts picking its petals one by one. And, you know, Poison Ivy just freaks out and starts attacking her. It's like, yeah! And then, like, you know, Scarecrow and Mad Hatter to pull her off, or the attorney. And then Van Dorn, in an impressive line of dialogue here that still resonates to me ever since, where it's like, I used to think that Batman was the cause of all you people, but according to all your testimony and all the records you guys accumulated, like, even without Batman, you guys would have caused havoc to Gotham one form or another. The gimmicks might have been different, but you guys would have done something somehow, because you guys are crazy. And in truth, you guys are the ones who created him, because it's just the thing about escalation, in a sense, where life has some kind of balance in a way, where too much chaotic, too much chaos, order has to come up to balance things out. The same way as like too much order, chaos has to come to balance things out because it's a delicate yin and yang situation. Gotham has gone too wild to the point where Batman had to be uh the essentially the white blood cell to cure this kind of situation. Uh, and so they come to declare Batman not guilty, but since we're rotten people anyway, we're just gonna kill you anyway. And they try to take Batman to the electric chair or bed or whatever, but before they try to kill him, they try to take off his mask. But Van Dorn, who took off a batarang from one of Batman's collars, not his collar, but one of his, apprehending one of the gang member, she still had it on her person, and she used it and somehow accurately hit out the light in the room and give Batman a chance to escape. And everybody's like, fan out. It's like, don't let him escape. And it's like impressive. Oh God, Kevin Conroy's so good in this role. And it's like, who says I'm leaving? And it's like, and then like, then Joker, like you pan over to Joker. I was like, okay, start panicking. It's like, okay, that would be freaking scary. Because like by the villain or bad guy's point of view, and you see like Batman ninja skills at work, you'll be freaking terrified in this moment because he's just master of the shadows, and he takes them down. The cops show up, and you see the impressive moment where Montoya is now a detective now. They find Batman's gadget who he was using to track down Van Dorn, and it leads them to they use their skills because I'm glad to see like cops are not completely inept. They track down where Batman is to Arkham Asylum, and they reclaim the asylum and stop the bad guys. And Van Dorn tells Batman, I'm still going to work hard to make the city safe so we won't need a Batman. And Batman's like, so would I. So incredible. Trial is an incredible episode. I love this episode. It's one of my favorites. Avatar, where a return of Ra's al Ghul, who is trying to find this mummified woman, this priestess, as ancient sorceress, who seemingly is supposed to be like a cure for at least like a key to true immortality, and not like the temporary ones with the Lazarus pits. Teaming up with Talia al Ghul, they do another globe-trotting expedition where they discover Ra's al Ghul is alive. He's come disillusioned with and disappointed with Talia, who has sided with Batman. And as he finds this priestess, who turns out to be not a beautiful woman, but like an old mummified creature, stealing the youth of anybody, because he skeletons of different eras of people who found this tomb, stealing the life force from them to keep herself alive. Talia and Batman stop her and they save Ra's, but she ends up betraying Batman, not allowing him to turn him over to authorities. They leave him in the desert, but Raz's or Raish Ra's al Ghul's henchman Ubu, after Batman saves his life from the collapsing fortress, he lends him a full canteen of water so that way he won't die of dehydration. Showing that these guys have some modicum of respect for Batman. So it was a great episode, fun globetrotting expedition. Got House of Garden with Poison Ivy returning, and kind of creepy, very Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of situation, where Poison Ivy, considering that she can't have children the natural way, she grows her children and seemingly reformed. There's like a theme going on in this season with reformed villains. Uh, and this doctor who is under her sway, turns out, because it appears that, oh, she's living a normal life with this doctor who seemingly helped her get over her issues, had like a family with these two boys, but turns out he doesn't have any children. He's under her sway, and she grew these children to be like living cacti type of things. And a horrified Batman put a stop to all this, but Poison Ivy made her escape out of Gotham. This is probably the last we've seen of her for a while. Very creepy episode, honestly. Then you get a Terrible Trio. Not, God, it's only slightly better than I Got Batman in My Basement, but still not good. Not my favorites at all. This just these rich yuppies who need a thrill and commit crimes underneath these masks that is like a representation of their respective like totems of what it represents for their particular way of gaining their wealth. One's like a fox head, one's like a shark's head, and the other is like a vulture head. And even in the comics, from what I understand, the Terrible Trio wasn't good villains in terms of Batman's rogues gallery. They're like very bottom of the barrel, right up there with like the Crimson Cavalier and the Pink Flamingo. Very, very, very low tier Batman villains. But maybe with a good writer, you can probably do something with them, like put them on the same par as like the Royal Flush Gang or something. We get like Harley Quinn, where Joker steals an atomic bomb and planted it somewhere, and only Harley Quinn can help Batman and Robin. You see like a nice, funny dynamic between Harley and Batman. A fun episode, very cartoonish, which is something that you expect from Harley Quinn. But she comes through at the end with helping stopping Joker. But she still reconciles with him because she is still deeply in love with this dude. Time out of the joint, we get a return of Clock King, who still got an issue with Mayor Hill. He steals a time mechanism that from a scientist who he's under the guise of his butler, who's like essentially a recluse, so he can invent this stuff for the betterment of mankind. Growing crops at like a exponential rate rather than waiting many months to harvest food and stuff like that. But Clock King steals it in order to commit crimes to try to kill off Mayor Hill. But Batman, utilizing the mechanism to prevent Mayor Hill getting blown up from a explosive device, and for a brief moment we get to see like Batman utilizing super speed akin to like the Flash in order to race the exploding mechanism to toss it into the river to prevent like a mass casualty, and Robin stops the Clock King. Fun episode. It's like this is like my Clock King. This is how you use the Clock King, where, and not like that stupid 60 version with a clock face. That is not the Clock King to me. It's some things in the, I don't know, it was Silver Age that doesn't work, in my opinion, and this is one of them. But uh, animated series Clock King is the Clock King, in my opinion. Uh, uh, oh yeah, Bane. Bane's episode, that's like another favorite of mine. This is the introduction to Bane, and this is not too long. This episode came out not too long after Nightfall came out, where Batman suffered his biggest loss in comic book history against this new villain named Bane, who uses venom to make himself super strong, but isn't his strength that's a threat, it's his mind, where he strategically, like in this episode, strategically follows Batman, studies him, and in this episode lures Batman into a trap by kidnapping Robin, and he attempts to break the bat, but of course, unlike in the comics, Batman uses Batarang to disrupt his mechanism that pumps him full of the venom. But of course, Bane's a hitman. He got hired by Rupert Thorne to try to stop Batman, but Thorne's little hench lady tries to get in good with Bane, but of course, Batman records her little dialogue with Bane, and it's like, try harder next time. Bane is not to be trifled with. He is next level of a threat. Of course, unlike Batman and Robin, where they treat Bane as a lunkhead, and unlike in Dark Knight Rises, where you got pretty close to a realistic Bane, but it swapped out the venom with this pain repressors or something or other, where you could have just blended the two into the real Bane, because Nolan tried to shy away from like the comic bookiness of what we appreciate by certain characters, and Schumacher leaned too campy into the comic book character, where we need a blend of the two. And maybe Matt Reeves is on the right trail in terms of blending the two, because now we can fully embrace the comic bookiness, but also take it seriously. Because Lazarus Pits, we don't need it to be like an actual prison. We need like an actual pit of green goo that makes you immortal for a little while. It's so stressful with certain aspects of Nolan Batman trilogy that kind of irks me a bit. Even though it's good, but it's just still like, sometimes I want to just get away from the groundiness and just embrace the comic bookiness. Because say what you will about certain recent stuff with the MCU, they got us to embrace the fun comic bookiness of characters and be true to what they are in the comic book world. But the Bane episode was an incredible episode. Fun. So much fun. I enjoyed that episode. Another sorrowful episode, Baby Doll, where this Mary Louise Doll, who I'm so shocked that she isn't truly part of Batman's rogues gallery, because you can do some interesting stuff with this character. But this former actress who kind of went crazy because she suffers from this disorder that prevents her body from aging. It's almost, you could do something with this girl with Ra's al Ghul, where he studies this girl so he can reclaim his youth permanently by because this could be easily be like a Batman comic book story. If I write, and this is trademark, I'm coming up with this idea, that if I write something with Batman, I can bring back Baby Doll and teaming up with Ra's al Ghul in order to get something from her by using her, studying her disorders in order to reclaim his youth, and figure out a way to allow her to age, so that way she can finally be an adult, because she was part of this children's program, became a big star, but because she could not grow, the show kind of went off, kind of failed, or not failed, but it's kind of, they have to end the show because they can't keep going with this girl because everybody else is aging but her. And then of course they introduced this uh, dweebish kid. Forgot what his name is, but Spunky. Yeah, it's like cousin Spunky, which is kind of reminiscent to like an last season of the Brady Bunch years ago, where this they kind of tanked the season where you introduce because all the other kids kind of growing up and not being cute anymore, so they introduced this cousin that kind of tanked the season, uh, and it's like it became like a term in Hollywood named after this particular cousin from the Brady Bunch, where it's like pulling a whatever because the show is becoming like stale. They have to throw in the character to spice things up. Where you get what you picking up what I'm putting down. So Baby Doll has these henchgoons who, from what I'm understanding, kind of looks like a mix between Horace and Jasper from 101 Dalmatians and the skipper and what's that 3-hour tour? Crap, what was that? What's that show that was also on Nick at Night? Gilligan's Island. It's like Gilligan and the skipper. Yeah. It kind of looks like them but older. And you got this little manager lady that actually can fight really good and throw hands at with Batman and Robin, but of course ends up getting taken out. And of course it shows also Batman's remorsefulness for his bad guys because they're all suffering from something or other, most of them, that they probably wouldn't turn out the way if like life wasn't lifing with them sometimes. And of course, kudos to the actress for Baby Doll because she knows how to turn on that little cutesy little girl charm. And she has a little catchphrase. And it's like, I didn't mean to. And then she switched that off, like Kevin Conroy, switches that off into her grown up voice. And it's like very, not thespian, but it's like, she turns off that actor thing and just, turns off the cutesy girl thing into her like very dramatic kind of reading of like adult reading as like, where it's like this is not me. It's like, I just want to grow up. Why won't you let me play pretend? And you see this, they go to this funhouse Hall of Mirrors thing, and you see like this image of her looks what it looked like if Baby Doll actually grew up into a young woman, but it's still all a facade to her, and she's just in tears, and the episode ends with her hugging Batman, and she's just crying in tears, and she just says in her adult voice, "I didn't mean to." And it's just like you feel bad, so bad for his characters like this. The same way with like Mad Hatter in his first introduction of the episode where he stars in, where it's like you feel bad because they want to be loved, or this poor girl who suffered from a disease which is keeping her from aging, like a reverse Benjamin Button kind of situation, where she just it kind of reminds me of like that character from the Eternals, where it's like forever looking like a young kid and who's internally an adult but can't do adult things because outside looking in you look like a child, and this prevents Baby Doll from getting roles because people can't separate what she looks like from her performances. It seems kind of odd when you're trying to do like a Shakespearean thing, but nobody can't take you seriously because you look like a kid. So it kind of prevents her from getting more roles. So I feel bad. Let's give a couple of other things here. I'll cover like at least 3 other episodes before I end the end this video. But you guys gotta check out season 2 of Batman and Batman the Animated Series to let me know what you guys think of season 2. But we got Riddler's Reform, where another attempted reform of a villain, where Riddler had convinced the doctors there that he's completely cured, he's on probation, and he gets a job at this wacko toy company with his boss who want to monetize the Riddler persona. And of course, it seemingly Riddler has, gaining notoriety and respect where he wasn't before when we were first introduced to him. Unlike Mockridge, this boss seems to appreciate him. But of course, because of his obsession with leaving riddles, he couldn't help himself, but because he's stealing still, and he still wants to try to best Batman. He can't help but want to one-up Batman. And of course, because of that, Batman ends up catching him in the act of, trying to steal, but Riddler, leads him on a chase into this, leading him on these clues to this wacko toy factory where he rigged it all to trap Batman and loaded up with explosives that was going to be setting off in in a couple of minutes. So, but Batman somehow got out of there, recorded Riddler's confession, and of course Riddler is too concerned about how he got out of there. And of course Batman's like, I'll never tell. And it's like, this freaks out Riddler. And of course Batman tells Alfred and Robin how he got out of there because there was a safe inside. Now I can't help but think about Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull with the whole refrigerator thing, but it makes more sense with Batman in this safe. So as the place went off, Batman was secured inside this safe. Don't know how that thing wasn't melted or whatever, but whatever. So now Riddler's in Arkham Asylum freaking out. I gotta know! I gotta know! Even Joker is like, oh my gosh, shut him up. But it's an impressive episode. I love Riddler. He's my favorite villain of all time. Speaking of like Nightfall, I was about to mention, as I'm going to be reviewing a lot of Batman TV shows in the coming weeks, months, possibly. Along the way, I want to start covering the Nightfall and Night's End type of stories. Like a very cinema Batman, at least one of the most praised Batman stories of all time. I want to go through them all with the whole Nightfall type of trilogy. I think it's a trilogy, like the story of Bane, Nightfall, and Night's End. I want to cover all that stuff at some point. Like I still got to get through House of X and Powers of X event. I think I'm going to review that, if not tomorrow, the next day. But then I got one more Marvel story I want to cover. But after that, that's when I'll get into the whole Batman Nightfall stuff. That's the plan. Anyway, the next one I want to cover is one a really good one, Lockup, where you get this character called Lyle Bolton, who is legit a villain in the comics. I think after this episode, they brought him in for a little bit, but nobody really utilizing him. And you'll think with like police brutality and obstruction of justice and corruption, you could utilize Lyle Bolton in a myriad of ways, because he's an interesting character where he's a new head of security at Arkham Asylum, and he's been essentially abusing the inmates to the point where they all freaking out about this guy. And Batman's concerned. So as Bruce Wayne gathered up like the head doctor, Commissioner Gordon and Mayor Hill to hold this little meeting just to make sure, like, are you abusing your power? And of course, he freaks out, and of course, he is immediately fired. And so this caused him to like, go crazy in a way because he's obsessed with locking people up that needs to be locked up. So he goes after Summer Gleason because he doesn't like liberal media. You could really do something with this character. He kidnaps Summer Gleason, kidnaps Commissioner Gordon, the doctor in Arkham Asylum, and Mayor Hill, and they he wants to put them on trial now. Batman and Robin track down where Lyle Bolton is because he's like a master at locks. Essentially, he knows how to keep people secure and utilizing security, and it's like you can do something with this guy who's like, causing all these gases to keep people locked up and contained. Of course, it doesn't work so good with Batman, who's a master escapologist. And he confronts Batman, and it's like, you should be working with me, Batman. You capture them, and I'll keep them locked up. But Batman points out, but they're still human beings that deserves, because there's a thing with, like, when you put people in prison, they still have rights as human beings, so that they, ideally, they should be treated still like human beings, not like just monsters that we should be shoved away to do whatever with. There's due process. There's still a level of humanity that need to be bestowed upon them, because they still deserve mercy, to the point where it's the point with prison where they're supposed to, on paper, they're supposed to be used to reform criminals, to essentially to show them the error of their ways, so that way they can be let back into society one day. But the way you're doing it, you you're making them scared. You treating them like they're not people no more. And this line of dialogue with Lockout, it's like, could it be you actually care about these people? And it's like, it shows that, Batman, because Batman is like a reflection of his villains, or vice versa, where you take Batman, who wants to capture the villains and put them away, to this extreme. You get Lockout, where it's like he's obsessed with keeping them locked up and not seeing them as people no more. You take compassion out of Batman, you probably would get Lockout. And they end up stopping Lockup. But man, you could do a lot with this character. I like this particular episode. It's a very underrated episode that need to be brought to the forefront to a lot of people. Then Deep Freeze, where you get another return of Mr. Freeze, where he gets broken out of prison and captured by this Grant Walker, who's like a billionaire who's aging, and he's got this whole Walt Disney vibe to it, where you got this kind of Imagineer type of thing going on, where he's trying to, he looks at Mr. Freeze as like a miracle for him, whereas like, I want to go through the same process as you so I can live forever, and I can offer my resources so you can cure your wife. This forces Mr. Freeze's hand to help him, but Batman and Robin team up with Mr. Freeze to stop this guy, because they own this area called Oceania. It kind of reminds me of that BioShock game a bit. But another Walt Disney kind of rumor, they kind of played it in this episode, where it's like he's got like a frozen head where he might still be alive somewhere, and they kind of, Grant is trapped at the bottom of the ocean, frozen against this metal thing. So he's sinking at the bottom of the ocean, still alive, because he won't die. Or at least his aging will be so far out that he'll literally like stay there for a very long time. So harrowing end to this guy, but Mr. Freeze decides like he want to stay on this destructing or falling apart location with his wife at the bottom of the ocean, which carries over into Batman and Batman movie Sub-Zero, which in terms of movies, at some point after this month, I'll start covering Batman animated films like Sub-Zero and get my thoughts on that. Anyway, that's all I pretty much want to cover with, like, in terms of my favorite episodes of season 2. But highly encourage you guys to check out season 2 of Batman animated series. Let me know in the comments below, if you're watching this on YouTube, what was your favorite episodes of season 2, and then I'll get right into season 3, binging that. Then after I cover that, I'll get right into Batman Beyond, because it's been many years since I watched Batman Beyond. It'll be fun to revisit and binge watch that. Then after that, The Batman, covering the seasons from those, and then wrap up with another Batman TV show that I really love, Brave and the Bold. And anyway, happy 4th of July, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow as I stream some games. I'm going to probably revisit Tekken 8, because a person on YouTube suggested I try Brian Fury. And, it'll be fun to go back to play a little bit of Tekken 8. And, yeah. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a happy 4th of July. I'll see you all soon. Take care.